Over the years, I've read a number of books by spiritual leaders and authors, or I've listened to people who are deeply steeped in prayer and how to be with God. And something powerful has stirred in me every time I've read or listened to some of these people, a yearning and a desire, a longing to learn how to be with God, to really dwell with Him. And the second thing that I remember is a number of years ago, about 25 years ago, when I was just starting out on the church leadership journey, probably a bit longer than that actually, maybe 30, I offered to lead the spiritual formation and discipleship part of the church, which, looking back on it, was slightly ironic, as I had hardly really started on that journey of personal transformation at all myself. So how on earth I thought I could lead that and lead anybody else was slightly odd. But I think it was because there was this deep longing inside me for personal transformation, for some of the profound transformation from some of the flaws that I saw and recognized that kept on recurring in my heart and in my character. And so there was this longing for deep, profound heart change. And the third thing was an encounter I had with the Lord, which actually, there's been a number of them, but one in particular about 20 odd years ago, when I sensed this deep call to pour out my life for the sake of other people. That self-giving love that we see Jesus models to us and calls us to emulate, particularly in Philippians 2, that we can pour out our lives to help and serve other people. These three longings or stirrings or callings have been around for a number of years for me personally, but I would suggest that they have been around at the heartbeat of this community for even longer than that. They've been what this church has always been about, even before I arrived. It's part of the Holy Spirit's call upon us. We've recently expressed them, and we've mentioned this a number of times over the last few years, as three aspects of our purpose, our calling as a church. Why do we exist? We exist for these three things. They should come up on a slide just now. To be a Christ-centered community, a community of people that gather around and know how to be with Jesus. To see people fully alive, to help people in that process of transformation and change, and then for that to flow out from this community to help the world flourish. We as a leadership team sense that we stand at a time when we need to be more intentional about pursuing these things than we previously have been. About 9 months ago, we said that we wanted to prioritize mission over the next few years. Yes, absolutely. It's probably one of the things that, if we're honest, we've been weakest about. But to do that, we also need to focus on discipleship, on being with Jesus, being a community that gathers around Christ. Those things all flow together. They iterate and move together. They resource one another. If we only do mission, we might end up being weary and heavy laden, as we will read from the scriptures in a minute. So in the coming years, we want to give ourselves to these three things. And we invite you to join us on that journey. Over these next seasons, months and years, we're going to do some sermon series that will be crafted around these three things. Not every Sunday, not every sermon series, but some key ones each year that will help us dive deeper into really intentionally pursuing these three core purposes of CCE. Now, sermons alone aren't going to be enough, as important as they are. Some people talk about Sundays and sermons being a little bit like a meal. You know, we need every meal that we have, but we remember very few of them, but they nourish us. So there is, of course, value, and I would encourage us at the beginning of this year to establish that pattern of gathering together that is so essential for our formation and our spiritual growth and discipleship. But Sundays alone cannot be everything. We are going to need small groups. We're going to need training, retreats, and workshops. We're going to, and we'll say a lot more about this next one, we're going to need to put this into practice in our lives. Doing something is how we learn. We haven't got this all figured out. Not everything is in place, and so we need your help. We need your contribution to make this happen. Maybe you want to lead a small group, perhaps for a number of weeks or a term, around one of these sermon series that takes the material and other things that we will produce at the end of each Sunday that would help discussion, follow-on resources that you could read or listen to, and ways in which you can practically put this in practice and learn how to do some of these things. Or maybe you have a heart for your local community and you'd like to see something established there to reach out in some way. Maybe there is a missional project that you would like to lead or initiate. Or maybe you want to help create community, welcome new people, help people feel at home within CCE, or grow in their faith as people come to faith. There are all kinds of ways in which you can participate, and we need your help to make this happen. So this is where we're going over the longer term.